Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Leslie and today it's all about Not Too Shabby's quarterly release, Red, White, and Bloom. And we got lots of fun products today, starting off with these beautiful enamel dots. Definitely got a couple different shades of red, a couple different shades of white, and a couple different shades of blue. That's called Hello July. And then we have the Stars and Hydrangeas ephemera pack and the coordinating papers. And then we have this beautiful stamp set that is also called Stars and Hydrangeas. We got a lot of fun little sentiments in here. We got Shine Bright, Celebrate Today, Red, White, and Bloom, Hello, Hello July, and a bunch of different little flowers and bees and butterflies and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's go ahead and open the paper pack. I love this paper, y'all. Very 4th of July patriotic vibes, but then you can also easily turn these into everyday cards, even Mother Day cards, Father Day cards, kind of thing, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, or just summer in general. There's a lot of patriotic themes, but then there's also a lot of florals. So there's a lot you can do with this paper pad. So we'll just go ahead and kind of flip through them. You do get 4 sheets of each design. And there is 12 designs, and this is of course a 6x6 paper pad, and then of course it matches the ephemera and the stamp set, and everything coordinates together. So definitely check this set out. All the release information will be down below in the description box, and of course there's lots of inspiration today. Check out Not Too Shabby's channel for more information. So I just want to quickly kind of run through what you get in the ephemera pack. There's a lot of variety here, a lot of patriotic, a lot of beach kind of summery vibes, a lot of just red, white, and blue, and everything you kind of think of when you think of summer. So I love a lot of this. So these are the papers I am going to be using today in the ephemera that I chose to coordinate with it. And then I did find some blue cardstock in my stash here, some vellum paper, and then these are my dies. These are just standard rectangle dies, and then one has a scallop as well. So we are going to start with that blue cardstock. This is kind of a linen texture. I found it in my stash. So I'm not sure where I got it from, but it just matched perfectly with the vibes that we got going on. I'll show you later how I use ink to create some cardstock later on as well. So if you don't have the exact matching blue, it's okay. So I did cut out that glitter blue paper with those rectangle dies. I did cut out a smaller rectangle because I like to hoard paper, y'all, and I can't use glitter paper like this without cutting out middle, especially if I'm going to end up hiding all that anyway. So you don't have to do that if you're not like me, but I'm a big hoarder of paper, so I had to do it. And then I cut out another rectangle with that red, white, and blue watercolor paper. I love this paper. I had a bit of a trouble making it line up with my scallop dies. They're not a set of dies. They're a couple different sets. And so it wasn't quite lining up perfectly, but it's okay. I made it work. I used that vellum just to create a little bit more interest, tone down the glitter, kind of give a little bit more like definition in between the layers, instead of using just another colored cardstock. But you could just use more of the blue cardstock, or like a red one, or even a white one would give you the definition that I was going for. I just wanted to use vellum because I haven't used vellum in forever and I felt like this was the great time to use it, especially because I can use glue on the back of it, and a lot of it is covered up, so it'll fit quite nicely, and I'm not trying to hide any of my adhesive on this card. Of course, this card is also giving me all the summer vibes. My daughter is, she's actually graduating today from her little preschool, and I can't believe it's already been a year that she's been doing that. And so we are definitely getting into summer where I am. And this card does screams that. I did decide not to go with the shoes there. I couldn't quite get them to fit how I wanted them to, especially since I wanted to add a sentiment to this. But I really love those shoes, and they will definitely be in a card later on. This is me just kind of fiddling with all the ephemera here. I'm wanting to make sure it fits, and then I decided I did need a sentiment. I'm going to use the red, white, and bloom. I am using some dies from LV Handcrafted's Universal Stampin' Die from Not Too Shabby to cut out kind of the same scallop that you saw on with the vellum. And then I decided instead of doing white, I actually wanted to do white sentiment on the blue cardstock kind of thing. So instead of actually recutting and out of the blue cardstock that I already had, I just went ahead and grabbed my blue ink that I was originally going to use for the sentiment and just ink blended over that little die cut piece. So I am now using some white pigment ink just because it will stay wet a little bit longer, and since I am going to emboss this, I want it to last a little bit longer. And then I really wanted the white on white with embossing. Sometimes when I do white embossing with the clear ink, especially on top of other ink, it doesn't quite come through the way I want it to. Sometimes I see a little bit of that blue kind of seeping through, so that's why I wanted to use a white pigment ink for this sentiment. So I did have to do it a couple times. I did clean off my stamp in between just to make sure that there's no blue ink that is getting onto my white ink pad. I did let that blue ink dry quite a bit, but I tend to be a little bit impatient when I'm crafting. And so that was just a precaution, just in case it wasn't quite as dry as I wanted it to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my white embossing powder out, sprinkle that all over this sentiment, and then tap it off. I do end up using a brush to get some of it off. It wasn't quite as dry as I wanted it to be, but it's okay. The anti-static powder that I put on first did do its job. I just needed to brush off some extra there. But it came out beautifully, and I love watching embossing powder melt. It just makes my day. I could probably watch it for hours. So if you ever find a video with all they do is just melt embossing powder, send it my way. And then this is where I show I don't fully plan out my cards. I just kind of go where my mind lets me go. And so with this, I decided, okay, it needs a little bit more texture. And so I pulled out some red thread here. And so I'm having to go in between the vellum and that paper. And, the glue and tape isn't having a fun day with me. I do have to end up adding some extra glue there. But I just felt this card needed a bow and it needed a little bit more red. So I decided that I needed to create that using my thread that I have in my stash here. And I won't make you watch me fiddle with this bow. I probably was messing with it for a good 10 minutes because I don't know. I just couldn't tie a bow worth my life, guys. I ended up using my reverse tweezers to help me do that, which ended up helping, but I was like, it's not tight enough. It's not doing what I want it to do, but it came out okay. It just took a little bit of time. So I am adding a little bit more glue just to that side that I had lifted up just to make sure that it does stay down and the thread stays underneath. So now we're going to go ahead and start with my ephemera. I'm going to kind of layer my ephemera pieces. So we're going to start with just liquid glue on the hydrangeas here. That's going to be in the top right hand corner and just completely flat down. This card doesn't need to have a ton of dimension if you plan on sending your cards out through the mail. You could always keep the dimension to a minimum. I love dimension, and a lot of my cards I end up either handing out anyway, so having a lot of dimension does not hurt me in the long run. Other than the fact that I struggle with my scissors and cutting the foam tape. Struggle. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward that part, and ta-da! Video editing is my friend and your friend, so that you don't watch me struggle for another 10 minutes on just cutting some foam tape and lining it all up. So I am putting that on top of the hydrangeas and the thread there, so that will also help keep the thread down, and making sure my bow isn't getting too smushed by the lady with the flowers. And then the dog is going to overlap her a little bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit of foam tape to the one side of him. I'm adding a thinner strip of foam tape behind the sentiment because I kind of want it to look like he's a little bit standing on the sentiment, but I didn't want it to start bending him weird or warping him weird, so that's why I went with a thinner foam tape, which I think it's just like 1 millimeter versus 1.5, 2 millimeters, so it's not a ton of difference, but it just gives a little bit extra with the different layers. So what kind of plans do you all have for summer? Any fun vacations? I have a feeling we're going to be out in our yard a lot. We are trying to redo some of our landscaping this year, especially our front yard. Lots of rock is coming our way to redo that. And then we're starting to kind of draw out what our dream backyard would be for this home, and seeing if we can add some of those to our to-do list this year, because we finally cut down a lot of the branches with our tree that was, trying to fall on us. And so this summer is going to be a lot of outside happenings. Like, we got a new mower that I'm excited about because I don't have to push it very hard. And we just want to make strides in our yard. So that is what we're working on this summer. So what are you guys working on this summer? I would love to know. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. So we're also going to add a few of those enamel dots. You got to have a little bit of bling on your card. I am using kind of the whiter of the two shades of white. One is kind of a creamy white and one is a white. I'm using the white one. Just adding a couple around the sentiment and then a couple around the head of the lady there. I love her. Her glasses are like on point, and I want to look like that when I wear glasses and a headband like that. But my headbands fall off my head, and I have glasses, so I have to get prescription sunglasses. So that's not a thing. But this is my final card. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you're new here, please hit subscribe so you don't miss a video. Hit that bell. And definitely check out the Not Too Shabby shop going on right now with this brand new release. So everything is down in the description box below. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye.